What if the problem isn't that the life is hard, but that you are caring about the wrong things? Most people think that happiness comes from getting more confidence, more success, more comfort, more approval. But what if that entire idea is backward? And that question brings me to this book, which is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a written by Mark Manson. He argues that a good life isn't about avoiding problems, it's about choosing better ones. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 most valuable lessons I have learned from this book. And if you only understand just these 3 lessons that I am about to share with you, you will think about success and even failure in a completely different way. So if you're watching this and you are willing to learn something new, then my friend, this video is for you. So let's get into it. Before I jump into those 3 lessons, let me give you a general overview of what this book is really about. This book challenges the idea that happiness comes from always feeling positive and avoiding problems. Instead, it argues that a meaningful life comes from accepting a struggle, choosing what actually matters, and letting go of everything else. This book isn't about being careless or negative, it's about being intentional with your energy. Because at the end of the day, we all have limited amount of fuck that we can give. So this book shows you how to not waste them on the things that don't actually matter. Alright, to understand even deeply what this book is really saying, we have to start with the first lesson. So the first lesson that I learned is that you are always choosing what to struggle for. Let me explain. The truth is that every life involves a struggle. Want a fit body, you will struggle with discipline and workout. Want a successful career, you will struggle with rejection and learning curves. So you are choosing rejection, long hours, and learning things that make you feel stupid. Want a meaningful relationship, you will struggle with conflict. So we're always choosing what to struggle for. Even doing nothing is still a choice, and it has its own consequences and struggle, which is going to be boredom, regret, and feeling stuck. So the question isn't how to stop struggling or how to avoid pain. It's which pain is worth it, which struggle am I willing to accept. And this is super important because the pain and the struggle you choose today quietly shapes the life you will live tomorrow. Now the thing is that if everyone struggles, if a struggle is universal, maybe you are not the exception. And that brings me to the second lesson that I learned from this book. And that is, you are not special. And that brings me to the second lesson, which is you are not special. And this sounds harsh, but it makes sense because you are not the only one facing the problem. And you and I are also another human being like everyone else, flawed, limited, and still learning. And that's the good news, because the moment you stop believing that you are supposed to be exceptional all the time, you stop feeling like a failure when things go wrong. Because as you know, things will go wrong at some point. And in those moments, failure stops being like a personal tragedy and it starts being like part of the process. When you stop giving a fuck about everything, you finally give yourself permission to grow. So you start giving a fuck about the things that actually matters to you. So now the interesting part is that once you stop worrying about being special, you stop waiting to feel perfect and you finally start to take action. And that leads me to the third lesson, which is action is not the result of motivation, it's the cause of it. And this leads me to the third and final lesson, which is action is not the result of motivation, it's the cause of it. So most of us think that motivation comes first. So we wait until we feel ready, we wait until we feel inspired. But actually, here's how it works. You have action, you have inspiration, and then you have motivation. So you don't act because you feel motivated. You feel motivated because you acted. So think about this. Imagine you go to the gym once and all of a sudden it feels easier to go again. So a small action creates momentum. Momentum creates motivation, and as a result, motivation creates more action. So the point is to just start, even if it's bad, even if it's awkward, and even if it's small, but start. So at the end of the day, life isn't about avoiding a struggle, it's about choosing better ones. And also, you don't need to be special to grow. And also, you don't need motivation to start. So if this video made you think differently, let me know in the comment what struggle are you choosing right now. And also make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And also thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.